I'm ready to slash a bird.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And I don't know if this is the biggest group of folks I've ever had. I'm pretty sure, if not, it's pretty close to my Team Stamina episode. But I had to do a show on GSCRL, which is Garden State Combat Robotics League, because this is, you know, any other league out there is very interesting, and I need to find out more about it. So especially for folks in the New York, New Jersey area, this may be of particular interest to you. I hope that it is, but happy to talk about it and just welcome everyone to the show.
Well, I can speak for me when I say we're really happy we're here. I don't know about everybody else.
For sure.
This is New Jersey, so somebody might flip you the bird and be off the way.
I mean, you know, it happens. But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to be here. And first of all, before we really get into anything, I want to make sure that everybody introduces themselves. You know, just tell a little bit about yourself, your background in combat robotics, and what your particular involvement with the league is. So I'll go around and call out names and just, you know, introduce yourself. So I'm going to start with Madeline.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, you know, just don't put me on the spot or nothing. Okay. Hi, I'm Madeline. I am one of the founders of this. You know, amongst others, a bunch of people from Fubar Labs got together and we did this, but that's another story that we can get into later. I have been involved in combat robotics since about 2015. I am one of the engineers and doer of silly things on hijinks. We love hijinks, but as far as the league stuff goes, I am the weird. I catch everything that needs to be done that doesn't get done, and yeah, that stuff.
Awesome. And I'm just going to read out names in the order that I wrote them down. So, next is Adam.
All right, well, I guess as you guys already heard, my name's Adam. I've been involved in combat robotics for, oh man, I lost count, but I took a break in like 2018 through 2020 to focus on school. But I've been doing it on and off since about 2014, 2015. I'm a sophomore at the college, well, rising junior at the College of New Jersey, going there for technology and engineering education. I'm currently on the G-Scroll board with Alex, Madeline, and Jackie and all them. Blessed to be a part of this group, and can't wait to talk it out with you guys.
Awesome. Jackie.
Hey there. So I'm Jackie. I've been gradually getting involved in combat robots since about 2015 after Madeline roped me into it. I'm involved with hijinks, and for G-Scroll, I do a lot of the work for making the stream happen. And I'm also working on a 1 pound version of hijinks called Bijinks.
That sounds exciting. Now we go to Nate.
Hi, I'm Nate Franklin. I do judging. I've judged like 2 events at G-Scroll, but I'm looking to compete as well because, you know, like judging's fun, but also fighting robots is fun, and I've been doing this since 2012, so a little over a decade.
Great. And then Lucian.
Hi, my name's Lucian. I'm relatively new to combat robotics. I only started competing back in March and did my first G-Scroll back in June. But I've been interested in combat robotics for, God, ever since it was back on like Comedy Central and all that. So for a while, but yeah, definitely new and definitely excited to get more involved with it.
I do want to say he's super involved in the community, and we're really super to have Lucien around. Same thing with Nate, because he's not just because his dad takes photos.
I mean, that's partially why. Let's be real here.
A little column A, a little column B.
Can't hurt.
Kevin.
Hey, I've been competing in the sport for I think a little under 2 years. Past the pandemic was when I first got into it. We all had a lot of time stuck in the house, so we needed something to do. In terms of G-Scroll, I'm pretty much just a competitor. I've been to every event except for I think one. So following all the people who actually help out, I just compete.
You help more than you know.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have a plastic ant division without you,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
That's great. Alex.
So I'm Alex. I'm the league president. I'm actually relatively new to combat robotics. Wanted to get involved since the Comedy Central era, didn't know the right people. And about a year and a half ago, Jackie at a FIRST Robotics event was like, hey, you should come up to our combat robotics event. It's not far from you. I entered the rabbit hole.
Hey, at some point we all do, I think.
Yep.
I am in my garage currently surrounded by a 30-pound, 2 copies of my 3-pound, 6 copies of my 1-pound, a prototype of rebuilding Impact Crater, a 3-pound I used as a learning chassis, and my contraption that is going to be a autonomous snowblower.
That sounds very interesting, for sure. Well, and then we have Matthew, but Beckett is also there, so please introduce yourselves.
Hello.
Go ahead.
My name is Beckett Ray. This is my dad, Matthew Ray. We are the 2 co-founders and currently only members of Team Raise Robotics, and our currently only bot, Dulce DeLuca, is the #1 ant weight in the US right now. So it really just goes to show that anybody can get into the sport, because back in September of 2022, we came into the combat robotics scene after Make Magazine published an article around that summer about combat robotics. It had reminded me of BattleBots because I'd watched it when I was younger, like right after the reboot, I think it was, because I distinctly remember like certain fights that I later realized were right after the reboot. And I hadn't thought about that show in years, and seeing the Make Magazine was like, hey, I want to watch this again. And as I started to watch more and more of it, one thing became clear. I need to hecking get into this sport right now. So luckily, Make Magazine had also done like a series of articles about combat robotics and the different weight classes, which we didn't even know was a thing. We just thought you'd go into it straight with a 250. We didn't know there were like sub-variants or anything. We were just like casual BattleBots viewers. And then we're like, hey, this is a widespread sport. So we find out about the insect and weight divisions, and we also find out about kitbots. And we get one. It is a Candy Wasp 4-wheel drive wedge kitbot. We name it Dulce DeLuca. And we go to this September event hoping to gain a little bit of footing in the combat robotics community.
Labor Day disarray, right?
Yeah, Labor Day disarray. I have the trophy right here because, as I'm going to segue into, it's our first event, and this is just a test, and we get second place. I'm driving, and my driving is apparently very on point because I was able to get second place to like one of the best ant weights in the US, if not the world, in Adam's Nomad. I have the trophy right here. It's a rusty hex nut. Have it in a special box.
Uh,
And we start consistently placing top in the events that we enter. People begin to see us as a real threat if they hadn't already from the start. And then we went to the nationals, like the US nationals, where all the best darned ant weights from across the United States compete. And first place.
And it was all because we were able to have this community that would help teach us stuff, help us learn from each other, help us actually compete against. And, you know, I feel like without having that sort of supportive environment and all these people around, that's really what has allowed us to sort of like really get into this sport and be able to sort of make a what would normally take a lot longer, help us get into the sort of the type of robot competition that we didn't think we would do for years. So we're very fortunate and happy that there's so many great people that are able to contribute their time and effort to help make this happen.
It doesn't matter whether you're a 40-year-old with a lot of technologic background or a 12-year-old with ADHD. Let me tell you, anybody can get into this sport and enjoy it and have a really good time and do well. Like it was honestly a real Cinderella story, but I don't know. I'm gonna get pretty feared when I start, if and when the beetle that we're making is finished in time for next NHRL. I think it's time to start spreading our dominance over to Norwalk. I'm sorry, I'm hamming it up for the camera. I really am legitimately excited.
I love your energy, Beckett, and you and my daughter would be best friends, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So,
interestingly, as well, for some GSCRL history, as an EEO, their first event, Labor Day Disarray, was my first foray in hosting, which is actually what kicked off officially forming the league, instead of it just being a couple of the core people, Neil, Jackie, Madeline, and Rick, having a couple more people come in and me, who was willing to organize, is when we actually sat down and discussed forming a league officially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I really want to get into, you know, because a lot of people, especially with how big, you know, NHRL has gotten at this point, and then, you know, now it's so big that they have to have a cap for beetles because there's so many of them. So there's been a lot of talk about, you know, other leagues and things like that, so that people have other events to go to. And, you know, to me, it seems like a very daunting thing to take on, because there's so much that goes into running a league and making sure that you have the facilities and the people and, you know, all of that. So I really want to hear more about, you know, the idea to form this and the challenges that you face kind of starting that process.
Oh, yeah. So this happened in like 2021 or something. We had we had the Sussex County Maker Faire happening, which is all outdoor. So like this is the one time where like we can do it outside. COVID be damned, we can do this, because it's all going to be outside. We don't need, you know, we have all the space we need. And we basically go, okay, how much money do we have for an arena? And it was like $800. Like that's what we could scrape together amongst me, Jackie, and Rick, basically, at Fubar Lab. So
And Neil.
Neil. Yeah, Neil contributed a bunch to it. And thank you, Neil. I do appreciate everything you do. He's not here, but like no, he's alive. He almost joined on this and he left. I guess he was busy or something. But he and what we did was I came up with, and the big requirement was the components of the arena had to be transportable in one minivan load. One minivan. So we put together this weird arena. I had never really built one. Like I'd seen how they go together, but I'd never really built one myself. And we had steep steep monetary and space issues because it was also at Fubar Labs, and like we had just no room in that place. And we slapped this thing together over like 2 weeks. It barely had a lid. And we took it out there and we had 3 competitors. And it kind of, then we pushed it a little further, and then it was like, then we had like 15 or 16 at our next one across Plastic Ant and Ants. And then we kept doing this with what we called Big Green, which is just this wooden green thing because Fubar Labs is green. And for some reason, we all think it's hilarious and keep painting things this horrible, ugly shade of green. Like literally, I have the colorated paper that I take to the places. Like it's like yellow green shade or tint 1. So like art people, do what you will with that. Yeah, that color.
Yeah.
That color. And it's just eye-bleedingly annoying. And we did that until the next year. We had a pretty okay event. Then we went through 2022 with this, horrible arena. And then Alex is like, hey, I have a venue and we'd like to host. I'd like to host an event in this venue as like publicity for it. So we do it down in the basement of this really cool shop called Get a Grip, which is awesome. Get a Grip in Washington, New Jersey. If you love old tools and strange things, like he has like 15,000 square feet just packed full like old tools, toolboxes, weird vintage stuff.
Everything.
And we're down in this.
Everything there.
Yeah. And we're down in the basement. We have a great time, I think. And
no, I did.
Yeah, of course you did.
After all, it was our first event.
Yeah, and your first trophy and podium and KOing people with a candy wasp.
Never, unless you count that one time last June where I was like actually sick and I was severe, like I had a minor cold from being outside because we prepared wrong for the event. Like, unless you count the one time where the forces of nature incarnate were actively working to stop me, I have never had less than a podium finish in any event I've been to, except for that one little hiccup.
We're a little scared of him.
Yeah.
Just world's scariest 12-year-old.
Yes.
So anyway, we go there, we have a good time. We realize we kind of have a core of like competitive people who are really dedicated to this, many of whom are on this call. And Alex goes, I'm going to start a league. So we start making plans. We start a league.
Rick was heavily involved in this as well. But basically the question was, okay, fine, we're here. Where do we go from here? How do we make more New Jersey events? And how do we get more people involved?
Yeah, because this all came out of us looking around, and like one of the problems New Jersey has is we are right in between Philadelphia and New York. So Philadelphia has stuff going on, New York has stuff going on, but there's never anything in New Jersey. And we were like, you know what, that's just not right. And everybody in New Jersey was basically driving like 6+ hours to go to events. And, this was right when NHRL was starting and not many people knew about it. But but yeah, and then Alex suggested all that, and then we were like, that's a good idea. We should do that instead of just having events 2 or 3 times a year. And then Alex did a bunch of legwork getting us sponsors, and we designed our current 1,200-pound welded steel tubing arena with, double 1/4-inch wall and the world's most annoying kick plate. Welcome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's anybody who complains about a pit where like we have a 1/4-inch steel kick plate, put them into that.
Yeah, our kick plate is no joke.
And Caldera has almost gone through it. Same thing with Trijinx. So we may have to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. I have some material here. But
Yeah.
if we go for a little walk over here,
A little field
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah, so
into the other garage.
and Alex had the solution for where the heck are we going to store this 1,200 pounds of steel and polycarbonate, and he happens to have 2 garages, neither of which can fit a car.
So there is our arena currently in
Yeah.
its stored configuration.
And yeah, so we had this thing. We picked up a bunch of sponsors, and our whole goal is to build a community here in New Jersey, build a community everywhere, and make it a more approachable place.
I mean, in which we should shout out to our sponsors, which are the Warren County Community College UAV program and the Warren County Board of Tourism, as they were gracious enough to sponsor the new arena, and FUBAR, of course, for helping us with the facility to build it and make it happen.
Yeah, and we can't forget our other 2 industry sponsors, Repeat Robotics and IT Gressa, who do prize support for our events. Yeah, Repeat Robotics, best BeetleBots drivetrain. You can't convince me otherwise. Sorry.
If I may
Peter, give us more money.
If I may add on to this particular discussion, one thing that I think is great about G-Scroll is it sort of filled the void with a lot of the like PA events stopping. Like Adam knows what I'm talking about. Like you had the Newark Franklin Institute, which stopped because the guy who would run it at the Franklin Institute retired. Then you had like Bot Blast and PenBots, and those are now defunct. So like really the only places were like Motorama and Norwalk if you wanted to like fight beetles.
Yep.
And then like everything else was like several hours away. But with this, like I'm from the Philadelphia area, it's like 1.5 hours. So it's really great that we have more like Northeast area stuff that isn't just Norwalk, because Norwalk is great, but it's great that there are other places that have double elimination and not like a bajillion bots, although having a bajillion bots is cool. But I'm really proud that this is something that these wonderful people have created.
NHRL is fantastic, and we love them. We actually work really closely with them. We actually make efforts not to schedule our events on the same weekends. And we try and share information in between the 2 leagues, but but we don't do the same thing. Norwalk is Norwalk, and it's an experience, and we're trying to do a little cozier thing, although I would say we are very nearly as intense competitively, but
absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's our beetle events, our beetles and ants are just absolutely terrifying. And our plastic ants are like, I think our plastic ants, well, 2 of our drivers are here. They can probably tell you how many of our plastic ants qualified for nationals, and it was significant.
Well, the plastic ant scene, so there were 16 robots in the plastic ant bracket at the Seattle Nationals tournament, and of the top 8 robots, there were 6 that were from like our area of the East Coast. So it was me with the captain. It was Kevin with his assortment of very good plastic ants, and Lars from Painfully Obvious Robotics. Between us, we had 6 of the top 8 robots, and then 2 of 3 podium at nationals. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, if you wanna do national level plastic ant competition, definitely come to the Garden State Combat Robotics stuff.
Absolutely.
Bottom feeder needs new prey. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. We believe in bottom feeder supremacy.
I didn't think you could pull off a Thagomizer ant plastic ant, but Kevin figured it out.
It's barely a Thagomizer. It gets like 1 or 1.5 inches of reach or something. It just looks like one, so it tricks your eyes.
Yeah, it's wild. It's not easy to do, but he did it, and I'm shocked.
And I'm really glad though that you brought up, kind of like working with NHRL to some extent, because I think that, too many people think that, all of these different leagues, that there's this level of competitiveness or what have you. But, ultimately, I think for most of us that are involved in this, it's really about growing the sport and more leagues and more opportunities for people to compete and get into this is nothing but a good thing. So the more chances there are and the more places where people can have this accessibility is going to make this even better.
Yeah, we're way from a mature market here, and I think the more leagues we have, the more people, the more fans, the more everything we're going to have. So start one. NHRL has, like, they haven't been able to contribute monetarily, but, information wise, they're usually pretty okay with sharing, some of their best practices, safety stuff, all that sort of stuff, things. They've actually been really helpful to us once we've started up.
NHRL has also been awesome in the regards of, for just about any league that asks and is within a reasonable distance, they have been giving out test boxes as well.
Yeah, so ask.
I was at Macro down in Maryland, and henchman Sam is originally from that area, I believe. So he went to one of their events and he dropped off one of the test boxes, and it was great. Got through safety just like that because they were able to do safety in the big box as well as the NHRL test box.
Awesome.
So we're definitely a collaborative community amongst the leagues as well as in the pits, which is really great.
Yes. I mean, I've said this 1,000 times, but I mean, like, the community overall is just the best that I've ever been a part of. And so it's nice to hear that kind of spreads through the other leagues as well. Now I'm really curious, now that you've got this started, what, do you have any specific plans in terms of how many events you want to try and run per year, or, any ways that you want to continue improving and scaling this in any way?
Oh boy.
So without really filling the calendar too much, one of the ideas that has been thrown around is roughly 6 events a year. An opposite month of NHRL, as they are the largest around us. We also run our season championship, which is our next event, in August at the New Jersey State Fair in Sussex County. And there's a couple of reasons we choose that as a championship. One of them, it sets our season championship at a different time of year than everybody else's, allowing the builders a little bit more time to focus on it, as opposed to trying to put a GSCRL championship robot together and then a Norwalk one 2 weeks later and maybe a macro one a week after that, while contending with Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's one reason that the fair has become our championship. The second reason is it gives us the best public exposure, and it's the chance to put the best bots in front of the public to get the most interest from the public and invite new people into the sport.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Now, this is a random question that I want to make sure that I get in there, because I find that for those that are more involved in the smaller bots, I truly get some of the best answers to this question. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask everyone this because I am genuinely curious. But the question is, if you could build any bot at any weight class, having an unlimited amount of money and resources, what would you build? So I'm going to first ask Madeline. I'm just going to go in the same order that I did initially, but this is one of my favorite questions, and I'm very curious to hear what the answers are.
Okay. Okay. It would be a 30 pound. Why 30 pounds, you ask? Because I can actually compete with those more than once a year. It, it's not crazy. So like, 250s are great, but when you have to do it at BattleBots, like it starts getting that's a place that is not necessarily where you go for fun. It's a real test and it's actually really stressful. Whereas like being able to have 6 events a year at NHRL is probably what I do. It'd be a shuffling crutcher with a turret. So it would shuffle around and then it would have its wedge that it could point at you. And then it would grab you and crush you. And it would be, I have like this in my brain of weird ways to do it involving like some hydraulic stuff and like some aircraft components. Just like ticking over, but like every time I do it and I start pricing things out in my brain, I'm like, nope, that's a car payment. No. No, we could buy another house with that money. So yeah, but I'm also known for doing fun designs, not necessarily competitive designs. If I win or lose, I want it to be spectacular. I don't want any of these like edge out wins. And that's kind of like there's this thing which has a 12-inch bar that weighs a pound. Yes, that's this. I think it's one of the largest beetle weapons in the country. Uh, and yeah, I like doing it. I know this thing's not going to be competitive. I just know it, but it's gonna win or lose spectacularly.
It's gonna eat everybody's wheels.
And your sand shovel. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I've got that on my shelf. It's one of my favorite trophies.
I went into that fight literally going, I'm gonna lose this, and then like 10 seconds later, I was like, yeah, there goes.
There's just some fantastic shots of both robots airborne.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
Those are like some of the best fights. So yeah.
And if y'all can find it, my fight against Reginald on YouTube.
Oh my God.
It just builds suspense beautifully. And Adam was announcing and he's just going, oh no. Oh no. This does not look good. Oh no. But he kept trying to move. And then I went and helped him rebuild his robots in the pits and redesign it like on the fly. So and then he drew me again.
That was Reginald's first match ever.
Mm-hmm.
He draws me twice. Oh no. But yeah, that's my silly robot, a crushing shuffler with a turreted wedge and claw thing. That's what I want to do.
Hey, that sounds interesting, and I hope that somehow that can come to be at some point. But
now that I've moved into doing art for a living instead of what I went to school for, which was mechanical engineering with a focus in aerospace, that outlet's got to go somewhere. And I think that's going to just be better death robots.
Valid.
Like, playing with clay is fun.
Robots.
Yeah, I mean, I do have Raku vases that are made out of Japanese hand grenades. Yeah. That's a World War II Japanese hand grenade.
Sweet.
It's been Raku fired. Really cool artist did it, and Sabota. But yeah.
Okay, Adam.
All right, so it's going to be the same robot, but I'd be torn between doing like a 12-pound version or a 250-pound version. So what the robot would be a version of my Beetleweight boombox. Plays music, has Bluetooth speakers inside of it, plays music during the matches. You can play your own walkout music, which is the best part. So the reason why it would be a 12-pound would be because then I could either 12 or 30, but I'd be able to make it the size of an actual boombox, and it's not just sitting up here like, oh, kind of looks it's a little missized. But 12 pounder, I could hold it up there, just be great entrance, great spectacle, whatever you want. But 250 would be great because then I could actually put a really spectacular sound system in there. Just to have like the best possible sound coming out of this robot.
This is where the infinite money comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that would be it. I just remember one day I came up with it. I was like, wait a second, I haven't seen this done before. And so I asked around, I was like, hey, that would be legal, right? And they said, oh yeah, it would be legal. I was like, bet.
Yeah, I want to see more people doing that, because I know I recently just talked to Brian Boxall, and he said that he has some kind of thing inside of Fireball that it'll play Fireball by Pitbull. And so I'm like, this is a cool thing. More people need to do this. So I think that's a great idea.
I think that's his ESCs. I've got to go see if somebody has that MIDI file for him.
If I recall correctly, yes.
I mean, all mine play Game of Thrones. If it's BLHeli, it plays Game of Thrones. That's just how that works. And when I lend out ESCs, everybody's just so annoyed. Because they turn it on and it's like 30 seconds of theme song before they can start their robot. I just love it.
That is terrific. So Jackie.
I'm honestly not certain, but I think what I'd probably want is I definitely would want to do something silly. And I'm kind of split between doing a bigger and more ridiculous version of Positively Hysterical, because I love that robot, or just making something where I either make it look like or just make it out of some household object and just be as ridiculous as possible.
KitchenAid mixer.
Honestly, yes, now I want to do that.
We can call it scrambled eggs or something.
Back in the kitchen. Piss off all of the misogynists.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. That would be terrific.
And if it was built the same way as all the other KitchenAid mixers, it'd be unstoppable.
I think now I'm going to make some sort of kitchen themed robot.
I mean, yes, Chef does exist, and Alex has played around with grabbing kitchen stuff and making mini bots with it.
So Jackie, I think I'm gonna have to call in favors from our BattleBots connection. We'll talk to David Small and see how we can figure out how to do a kitchen themed Kelpie.
Yeah.
We'll have a big spatula on the front.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good friends with Jen, and she did the hamburger. So
yeah.
Am I the only one who's just thinking egg beater?
No, I am too.
No, what you gotta do, you gotta pair
on it.
Now I'm thinking.
Nate and Adam, you'll get this. How about the one that stored with the egg beaters on it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was the whisks.
Yes.
What was the name of it? It was Chef. It was Chef something. I forget the
Chef Mike, I think.
Chef Mike, yes. I love that.
Well, wait. With all this talk of like kitchen themed bots, I thought of the idea of a kitchen themed like heavyweight, middleweight, whatever. You wouldn't be or featherweight. You probably wouldn't be able to do it. Oh, I think my cat just came in. Anyway, you have a chef's hat mini bot, but if the chef hat falls off, there's the rat from Ratatouille. Now, obviously, you might have to be careful with this. You don't get a cease and desist from Disney, but yeah, I think that would be funny.
But now, if you have the
on-camera cat
spatula,
no, he went away.
If you have the spatula themed Kelpie, all you need to do is pair it with one of those pancake robot printer things.
So
We
what you're
have
telling
one.
We
I
have
need
one.
to do
Oh,
Yeah.
is I need to drill a hole in the top of my robot because I already have the spatula.
mm.
Put a rat on top and then like tape the Ratatouille hat down on.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, if
Yeah.
there's a whisk involved in the robot, I'm gonna have to go with the obvious pun and name it Whiskey Business.
What are some famous Ratatouille lines?
And I thought my puns were bad.
You've
My
corrupted
cat
me,
wants
Alex.
something, so I'm gonna step away, but I have a wireless headset so I can still talk. So keep
Okay.
talking. He wants water.
Okay.
Cats wait for
Nate
no
knows who the
one.
boss is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna go to Nate next. So is that your idea, or would you do something else?
I'm back. So, if money was no object, or if money was not an issue, I would probably do, well, I feel like I'd do either like something I don't want to do a heavyweight. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like being on BattleBots, center of attention or whatever. Like, I'd prefer to be like on a pit crew, whatever. But anyway, there are two things I'm thinking of, which will happen at some point. It's like a Beetle or whatever, but it's like a four-wheel drive undercutter, like Crippling Depression, or basically like Thunderchild, but with a vert or something. And that's pretty much it.
Oh
Maybe
my
like
God.
nice hub mode or something. Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know.
A vert that would drives like Thunderchild would be a terrifying
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. I have
Awesome.
never had to fight Thunderchild. And I'm
You
glad.
fought him once.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he
Well,
didn't.
It took a 2-on-1 to beat you.
That's correct.
Yeah, for those who
he
don't
was
know,
supposed to be my ally.
and get
So-
sandwiched between two weapons.
Yes.
Two 30-pound weapons.
We annihilated a older revision of Thunderchild with my 30-pound floor letter word and Brandon's Phenomenon.
Yeah, that was one of the
Spectacular.
more epic hits.
Oh yeah.
And like, I have definitely seen Beetles do more damage to robots than Thunderchild took, and by getting hit by 230 pounds.
I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
Thunderchild got hit by my horizontal at the same time as it got hit by Phenomenon's vert.
And there were still salvageable parts.
Yes.
Surprising, honestly.
Wait, quick thing about that before we move on to someone else. My favorite part about that whole thing is the Futaba receiver, like that got ejected from the bot. It still works. Now my other Futaba receiver that was like in the bot for years and it wasn't ejected from the bot, that one stopped working at Nationals in the middle of a fight that I still won. So that is like, I need to let the people at Futaba know just how amazing their receivers are. Anyway, continue.
Is this a sponsorship or?
Okay, going to Lucian.
So mine would probably be something rat themed. Either like a 12-pound almost rat trap like bot, which would just have like a crusher that as soon as the enemy bot went into it, it like triggered it and it just slammed down. Or just a pack of 12 1-pound rats.
Adam, ducks.
Oh yeah, that was an experience. One of
But then
the
you also have
experiences
to have
of all
Mud
time.
Skipper with them, so you get the weight bonus.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we have a history of doing really weird things in this league too.
We
The
dabble.
pack of rats and their military commander.
That's clearly a duck. It's got to be a duck.
Yes. I don't know why, but yes, it has to be.
Yeah.
It looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's just a rat.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, for Adam, those ducks were definitely not in a row.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
That's probably true for all of us, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we got here. We did something very right and something very wrong, apparently.
Mhm.
Okay, Kevin.
So there's, I don't know what you would call this type of robot, but I guess just wide tubes. There's a 1-pounder called Totally Tubular and a beetle weight that's competed at a couple of recent Norwalks called Noob Tube, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's just the most unhinged, chaotic mess you ever seen in the box. And I actually had the opportunity to fight the ant weight version at Nationals, and it's like you're not fighting anything. You're just sort of like in a box with something that's doing its own thing. And it imprinted so hard on me that I'm in the process of making a plastic one for G-Scroll, hopefully in the next couple of events.
Excellent.
I look forward to your Chaos Monkey. I am here for it.
I don't
It's
expect
totally-
it to win many fights, but I do expect it to be cool in those fights until it explodes.
I have an opinion on those like tube robots. They're basically acts backwards, but executed way better, and they have the advantage of being in the insect division. They don't hit as hard. I think that's one of the reasons why bots like that do so well in the insect division. That's part of it, but it is my firm belief that those tube bots in the insect divisions are almost unbeatable. Because at least at Nationals, I was just watching that thing fight. Totally Tubular. That's the 1 pound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn ADHD.
Yep.
And
All of us.
Yeah, we feel ya, kid. We feel ya.
Oh yeah.
And it would just, there was nothing to hit. There's nothing to do because it's yeeting itself around the box so fast with the energy of a Bengal tiger that there is nothing, absolutely nothing you can do to that bot that will not result in you getting pitted because it has a pit. The arena at Nationals has a pit, but that thing is so long it can just drive out of the pit. It's
terrifying. I'm really glad we didn't have to fight it.
Yeah.
It's not as fun. We are a very good wedge bot with a very good driver, if I do say so myself. But we would not have won.
Well, I think the trick is with those is like you have to treat it like it's a hammer saw at any moment, right? It's essentially just hammering everything. Like,
I don't know.
it's gonna land on you. So.
I don't know if you saw. Sorry, I don't know if you saw the video at or you saw it at Nationals, or you might have seen video afterwards. But with the 3-pounder, what a Firecracker did was he had the like 2 little like they looked basically like you basically designed something similar to it, like
We
the
ran those at
crab
Zoom.
claws, and he used something like that so that he just kept like shoving it around until like one of its drives stopped working, and then it was stuck in the pit. But it's definitely a really cool design. So Kevin, I really am looking forward to hearing more about it.
It's a cool design. It is just quite hard to execute sometimes.
Well,
It's totally Tubular's world. We're all just living in it.
yeah, they have one of the best, most surprising strategies because no one can predict it because the driver doesn't know where it's going either.
Hey. My
I mean, like-
pounds resemble that remark.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you don't know what you're doing, how's the opponent?
Yeah, exactly.
That
The art
is
of war.
true. That is true.
Can't have your opponent read your moves if you don't make any. It's like you keep the ball on a leash, and then in the fight you just turn it on, and they're just like, well.
It's just like Globetrotter. or
There was actually a little bit of controversy when like Orb was getting really popular, and our Discord was like, does this count as translational movement?
Controlled movement.
Does it count as like controlled movement? Because what you're doing is you're just spinning a ring around the bot really fast. That's not a controlled movement. Like, what is the definition of controlled movement? Is it movement in a tangible pattern, or is it active movement by the driver?
Intentional movement, yeah.
I don't know, but they're fun. That's all I have to say.
But nobody seems to.
Well, I think what we were talking about is that if you can drive to your square, then it counts, right?
Right, right.
If you cannot control your bot and make it go into your starting square, then it's probably not controllable.
Right.
And hey, that by the way, that is a topic that I'm sure will be covered in depth on one of the panels that I'm doing. So that will be a good topic for that. But let me go ahead and go to Alex.
So I've had the opportunity to build in a handful of weight classes and a handful of chaos monkeys. I've taken on some other robots from some people that have stepped back. And really, if I had no budget and could do anything, I'd probably end up modeling my pumpkin chunking catapult into a hammer bot.
Oh, yeah. That sounds cool.
My pumpkin chunking catapult does hold a world record. We can throw a 10-pound pumpkin over 6,000 feet now. At the time of the record, we threw a 10-pound pumpkin 4,300 or 4,600 feet. So I feel if I can store that much energy to throw a 10-pound pumpkin that far, our small model was 12 pounds and would throw a golf ball 1,000 yards. So I can store a lot of energy and have a lot of fun with something like that. The problem would be the tip speed rule. That would be my stopper.
Yeah.
I believe we talked about this particular concept in depth at Sword, right, Alex?
Yeah.
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 Over a spirited game of Jenga.
Yeah, I may have some CAD models of the clutch system to do that, but nothing has spoken to me yet.
When you think about it, and I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but when you think about it, isn't Jenga a game of luck? Because if every time you stack it, the blocks are going to be different, and there are, when you think about it, a ton of different sub-configurations for each several layers of a Jenga tower, and you could have some really bad rolls. Like, am I the only one here who plays Jenga like competitively, or?
You did not see me and Alex. No.
At your age, I definitely did.
Do you want to tell Alex? Do you want to tell them what we did?
So, Beckett, we play at the level we were removing entire layers, all 3 blocks of a layer.
Not just any layer, the bottom layer, like the very first layer on the tape.
I stand corrected.
This was last Sword,
am I
right?
in the presence of a god? I know.
We had some fun with it. And yes, we play like jerks. We will literally have single on the bottom and then work our way up.
Yep.
I did that like once and it fell like 2 turns later, but we're talking about Jenga when we should be talking about robots.
Yes, and I am very, very curious, Beckett, to hear your robot idea if you had no limits on the money you could spend on a robot.
I have an idea of I'm in this weird scenario where I have an idea of the spot I'd want to be in, but not like while it's making the robot, but not an idea of the robot itself. I have like a vague sense of what I want the robot.
Talk about your robot?
Robot, right. So, I do not get air sick. When I went to the Nationals in Seattle, we went on a plane. I'm deathly afraid of heights. Like if I'm standing on anything taller than this chair, I start basically screaming. So I thought being in a plane was going to make me pass out, but it actually wasn't. Being in a plane was actually kind of cool. I do not. So back, if we were to make a 250-pound heavyweight, that would involve flying to California to compete. Whereas if we made like a smaller robot and then tried to compete at something like, say, NHRL with it, yeah, you get to compete more times, but I would probably, it's like a several hour car drive from where we live to NHRL, and that would get very repetitive and very stressful. And when you said no budget, I took that as no budget whatsoever. That includes travel budget. So
Correct.
I'm taking that into account here.
So international.
Right. That's why I would want to build a 250-pound.
Compete in China? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's a potential.
Be a tiny king of bots?
And I mean, I did take Mandarin Chinese this year in 6th grade, but I am not good at it. Ooh-wee. Tried to be bilingual and ended up with like only learning 2 phrases, and one of them was ni hao, so
I think you're doing fine.
More Chinese than I know.
But I have the numbers drilled into my head. You better believe it. Like 1 through 10, I could probably do that right now.
So,
I will not for time restrictions. But
in your robot, the thing that you would
the
make,
robot itself,
what are the requirements? Because you mentioned something about requirements.
I know it would have to be 4-wheel drive because I really like 4-wheel drive robots. I won the nationals with a 4-wheel drive robot, so I think
But wouldn't 8 be twice as good?
Got you there.
Valid point. Valid.
Drive. Well, that was kind of the crazy idea we were talking about, is like just nothing but wheels.
What, like, it's about just nothing but wheels, and then the hubcaps had like spikes or like sort of like grommets on them.
Name
Like
it
a
Hot
multi
Wheels.
brain, but just all wheels. It derived from like a comment Madeline made in the Discord, like real builders use wheel as armor. And we started thinking about that very seriously.
That's a logical conclusion.
Right.
Wheel guards are for cowards. Just gonna
Yeah,
say it.
think about it. If you take a single motor and you link a gear shaft up with that to a really complicated in my head. I need to post it.
I don't know what I'm posting.
All right. I think CAD is kind of a little beyond the scope here.
Yeah.
I cannot CAD. That is my biggest shortcoming as a maker so far. I cannot CAD. I can Tinkercad. I cannot use Autodesk to save my life. It's like, what are all these menus? And then if I click on this button, it just makes more menus. Like, what is this?
You know, you can click another button in that menu and get another menu.
It's menus all the way down.
Yeah, it just keeps going. And don't
end.
get us started on context menus.
Yeah.
I have a great name for this bot, though. Like, if you have a bot that's just wheels, the first thing that popped into my head was like the version of Captain Crunch that's Oops All Berries.
Oops All Wheels.
Oops All Wheels.
Yeah, perfect. You see, I like where we're going here.
Great. We'd get
Did I hear
demonetized within
unicycle
5
robot?
seconds, but that's actually great.
So what I'm seeing, now this is what I'm envisioning here, Beckett. You have a robot that's all wheels. Now, if you lose wheels, is that cosmetic damage, or did they cause problems with your drive? They can never know.
No, the best part is you just randomize which wheels are powered and which wheels are just like dead shafts.
Yeah.
And just
Yes.
that way, never know. They will
You make it a
never know.
30 or a 12 if it's not a heavyweight, and all the like half of the wheels are just like Coulson bot mini bots. So the wheel falls off, just starts driving around.
So now it's a transformer.
It's
Late
like
at night here,
Voltron.
folks. I say we move it along. It's getting a little hot in here.
Nate, I feel like you're describing those spiders that you squish them and then like a million spiders run out.
Yeah,
That's what you're describing.
Yeah. It's a
Extra
heavyweight.
hydra
people aren't
robot.
deathly afraid of Coulson bots. Well, not yet at
Yeah.
least.
Yes.
Let's just do a tractor trailer tire bot. Let's do this.
Back
I
to
just-
I saw
brain.
Alex's head.
Tractor trailer tire.
As a Melty?
Trailer tire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you take a tractor trailer tires are basically indestructible. So if you like laser something like one down to the diameter you want and strapped that to the outside of a Melty with like a protrusion.
Alex is gonna start working on this
like
right
a, like a little.
Oh, sweet summer child, think that tractor trailer tires are. Ooh, yeah. I mean, Shatter has put holes in a manhole cover.
I mean, I like competitively speaking, this bot would probably destroy itself, but it's fun to imagine. Like in this hypothetical perfect world, and I need toilet.
The you know what?
I will.
The next generation is okay. I'm just gonna say it now. Just hearing that description, the next generation is okay. Gives me hope for the world.
Yes, absolutely, and hope for combat robotics. But I have to say those are some of the most interesting answers that I've gotten to that question ever. So I hope that the viewers enjoy.
Yeah.
But
Beckett's one of those people that like makes the league what it is. I don't think it would not be it would not be the league without him, especially with his quips whenever he fights Cheesecake.
Yeah. Yes.
He has the best.
He doesn't pre-rehearse those. Those are.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
This isn't a piece of cake. I'll tell you. Was not. Oh my God.
Nope.
So there's kind of a rivalry between Beckett and the other Alex who has a robot called Cheesecake. His YouTube channel is Alex's Alchemy for anybody who wants to see it. And at our April event, he's there. We're in this high school gymnasium, and Beckett's, he came back up through the losers bracket and is fighting for second place. And here they are in the finals, and he's like, he's just struggling. And while he's doing this, trying to like get this horizontal spinner cornered so he can pin him and get their weapon spun down. He's like, this is not a piece of cake, let me tell you. Like, how does a 12-year-old do this? I don't know. Beckett, how do you do it? Just how?
I tell him you don't pre-rehearse your little punny statements while you're competing.
I don't know either.
That is the best
force,
answer.
Like a guiding force.
Like chi.
That's the perfect answer.
I want to make some deep like Avatar Last Airbender deep intro philosophical thing to describe this, but literally all that I can think of that would fit the loosest term of that bill is Pungo Burr.
Beckett, you are just a 12-year-old millennial, aren't you? You just pulled out, I mean, like, you're all about puns, and you just pulled out an Avatar The Last Airbender reference.
Well, I mean, I noticed sure, and then being a big nerd, like nerds rule the world. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, there are people who are like, "You're a nerd," and I'm like, I take that as a full compliment.
We are going to trot this out with your first college girlfriend. Just saying. We will find you and play this video for you.
Yeah,
I was just about to say this is recorded, so yeah, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. This is on going to be on YouTube for all time now.
The internet is forever.
The internet is forever.
Yep. Hey, 6 years later, me, you better be doing well with that date. Showing this as something important, and they're holding it over your head, but try not to let that get to you too much, and maybe make a couple jokes about that. Okay, cool. I don't know what's going on right now, but I hope you're still chill, bro.
Oh my goodness!
I think he's good. You think
that's the best response to threatening to embarrass them as an adult I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Turn the threat into a time capsule.
We're probably gonna have to go soon because it's getting kind of late compared to my bedtime, but I think we can stay a little later.
Well, we were just that's usually my last question. So yeah, I just, I think that this is great. I love, hopefully that people can get a chance to know more about this league, especially if they're on the East Coast and have done the NHRL events, knowing that there is another place for combat robotics that has a really cool competitive league, where they can take their bots, and especially having the ant weights there as well. Because I think depending on your skill level, different people get into the sport at different levels, and ant weights are, even more accessible, even though they're still also a very, very competitive field. So, for anybody that's watching, please make sure there's lots of options for you in terms of creating your first robot. And I think that this is a great league for somebody to get in and start to kind of test those skills. So really excited to see it, continue to grow and all of that, and see how things progress. But really excited to have, had you all on and kind of hear more about GSCRL.
We pronounce it G-Scroll.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things that I really love about this group of individuals and this league that we're doing is I believe that we're trying to put a bigger emphasis on getting knowledge of the sport out there.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't want to say, well, kind of selfishly, one of the reasons why I wanted to become a tech teacher was that I could have my future students do this. And I know Jackie can relate to this.
Yep.
But that's one of the things that I'm personally most proud of, to be part of this association, to get outreach out there, because I know that I wouldn't have gotten into, like, I had interests, like I built with Legos and I was building things, but I don't think I would have gone and made my life and career about technology if it wasn't for this sport. And so I think that's a very important thing to let people know, because like, you don't have to be a technologically gifted individual in order to compete and do well in this sport. Anyone, anywhere, anytime can just get in the sport, make great friends, go to great places, make great memories, and just have a whole lot of fun.
Absolutely. I don't think that I could finish on any better note with that. But for everyone that's watching, please make sure that you support combat robotics. Even if you don't want to build, just go to events, stuff like that. Support the builders, because I know they really appreciate it. Keep supporting this show. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. And lots of really good content coming up, so keep watching, and we'll see everybody next time on the show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching your show. Watching the next ones. It's great.
Thank you for having